welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let me just quickly share this with the tribe. Alright, let's see here. Alright, cool. So, I hope you guys can hear me and see me and perceive me. Let's get it today, Upward Spiral Gang. So, basically, I'm back in Kolkata right now, Kolkata, India. I just went on a trip to Sedona, Arizona, and it was an incredible experience, incredible event with our adepts. Wade was there. We also met up with Green Dragon, Joey Lundgren. We also met up with Will, Dorje Will as we call him. And it was pretty epic. Just a bunch of adventures, a lot of different things happening. You know, what was really interesting is that this event didn't feel like a trip to me. It didn't feel like a vacation to me. It felt like it was a final band-aid being ripped off, masks falling, and a lot of like recalibration, right? A lot. And when I say a lot, I don't mean like minuscule, like, oh yeah, tiny shifts. No, like breakthrough moments, right? Little moments of consciousness expanding. Hey there, my love. And December 5th, when I left, kind of marked this calibration event because it was the hard pivot into this timeline, into what I was experiencing. And the moment my boots were made for a walking, right? When my boots hit Sedona's ground, the body and my body entered a different OS, right? Different operating system. Mathis says I look fresh. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And this was not, spiritual tourism. This was not some kind of, dilly-dallying with aesthetics. This was an initiation, okay? So from the moment I arrived in Sedona, my baggage didn't arrive, okay? So when I had asked the airport, I was meeting up with Ryan G, right? He was already there. He set up the base and the foundations there. And when I'd gotten there, I was like, damn, like immediately a challenge, right? Immediately a challenge. I went over to this place and then this random woman was asking me questions like, what did you have in your bag? Or like, blah, 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 right? And I had to fill up this form and stuff. And I was just like, oh man, do I really have to go through this, right? That's what I'm thinking. Do I really have to go through this? Like finding my baggage, like going to a dollar store, right? So I went to a dollar store and I bought like a Bart Simpson hoodie, like a bunch of just cheap stuff, right, from the dollar store. And it was really, really the vortex logic there, right? Because I didn't realize that Sedona had this weird mirror effect, right? Sedona has a mirror effect. So whatever you're thinking in your subconscious and you're bringing up in your mind, it gets looped. It gets looped back. So the moment I brought up my fear, the fear looped until I could do something with it. Now this guy called me and said, oh, we're in Flagstaff, which is actually closer to Sedona than the actual Phoenix airport, which is like 2 hours away. Flagstaff is like 45 minutes or something away. And it was an incredible coincidence that this person contacted me and then I'd gone through that whole portal. This woman, however, was not opening her door to give me my luggage. I was knocking on her door. She was looking at me, but thinking I'm not the person, right? So I called the guy to call her, and then when she is like, oh my goodness, it's like test after test after test. But then once I got my luggage, whoosh, entire portal shifted. Why? Because internally I felt like I got my belongings back in a sense. It was weird, but when I was without the belongings, it was also a test of my nervous system to be without the belongings. Mathis says, in 1 week before posted the meme, I don't like people who take drugs, for example, airport control. That's interesting. So ancient understanding was that we call this event anamnesis, right? Anamnesis means something that is stored in the beyond one lifetime, right? It's like a memory. It's like a spiritual memory that you're tapping into, right? Maybe the church or the Christianity has a different definition of it, but this is the way that I perceive it. The body carries more history than the conscious mind likes to admit, right? And so trauma is just unremembered memory running your present moment, right? But once you have the memory of it, once you integrate it, once you understand that this is what it is, it shifts, you know, takes over. Ellie says, handsome too. Thank you, baby girl. Um, Remembering what happened in the past, but in healing terms, it also means symptoms resolve not when you fix things, but when the nervous system is allowed to remember, is allowed to remember safety, right? And medical anamnesis, which is interesting, which is history taking, okay, reveals the hidden truth actually, because no healing happens without context, right? The body doesn't malfunction randomly, right? Like it doesn't start glitching randomly. It remembers timelines, stress, losses, shocks, you know, unfinished responses, things like this. So anamnesis would be very somatic, right? It's not intellectual. It's not a heady game. It's a true embodiment. And this is what I learned. As soon as I hit Sedona, I was like, man, I gotta drop into my heart. I gotta just drop into my heart from my head and it will all be okay. But the moment I started chewing on thoughts, right, they got amplified out. I was like, oh man, so this is the thing, huh? I have to really learn that as my posture shifts, so does my real remembering show up. As, you know, uh, tears rolling down my eyes without any story, right? Spontaneous changes in breath, sudden clarity, you know, boundary correction, stuff like this. That's why talk alone, right, rarely heals people, right? Now this says, and would you say it's about the internal attachment and then the permission granted, which gave relief? Yeah, because I know similar things tests for remembrance on the go to Hamburg in 5 minutes. Yep, yep. It's totally about internal attachment. It's totally about that. And well, when Wade was in the event, he talked about ojas and tejas, right? So it's almost like ojas is stored when tejas is clean, right? Look up ojas and tejas. These are Hindu concepts. Just chew on them a little bit because we were talking about these two themes during the trip. So Sedona doesn't welcome you in, right? It's tests your entire baseline. Okay, the jet lag that I had wasn't fatigue; it was an identity lag. It was an identity lag. Sleep cycles shattered, you know, because my subconscious was surfacing. Old loops came online very quickly, right? So irritation, sadness, feeling tender, protectiveness, feeling hunger, feeling doubt, right? This was not regression. This was an unbuffered perception, right? So all Sedona does is it shows you the filters and then removes the filters. If your nervous system is noisy, you hear it louder, right? You hear it much louder. If your heart is cracked, it cracks open. That's why people, you know, cry for no reason. They get sick, they fight, they fall in love, they go quiet, because it's the same cause, different masks. Okay? Because the body becomes the temple, not the mind here. The body is the one that gets the holy praise here. It's not the mind. Okay? It says inhabit or leave, right? I had the cold air hit me. So it's very weird weather, right? It was like really sunny. And then the moment it hit 5 p.m., boom, it's dark, right? It's like a simulation. So we had to actually force ourselves to wake up earlier, even with jet lag, right? And go to all these different locations, of course. It also You know, best part of the day. What is this thing? Q&A, best part of the day. Okay. Best part of my day today, or I don't know what this thing is. That's funny. How do I get rid of this? Okay. Um, best part of my day is sharing with you guys, okay? So, it asked me one question very directly, and I wrote it down. It was, can you stay present while uncomfortable without narration, without a constant dialogue in your mind? Can you stay beyond the words and the thoughts and the emotions and be the presence and the container that holds them all? Okay, really important lesson here. And this land also tests bonds, right? Not to break them, but to purify them. I think my relationship with Ellie actually got better as a result of this because my sensitivity spiked. My misunderstandings appeared instantly in my mind, right? Old insecurities started to surface. Am I good enough? Am I deserving? You know, fear of being a burden, exhaustion amplifying emotions. But here was the lesson here. Sedona does not cause conflict. It removes the dampeners that usually hide conflict. Okay? So these moments of sadness resurfacing, looping, right? Time loops, reassurance, irritation, they were not failures to me. They were live wire intimacy training. Staying kind even when you're tired. Staying present even when you're triggered. Okay? Staying playful while you're in the depths. That's an advanced practice. That's a very, very advanced spiritual practice, and I think a lot of people miss it because they're like, oh, it's this touristy fun place in the US, let me just go for an adventure, yay, right? No, forget everything you know, because calibration is the key, not ecstasy. Forget the Instagram lies, okay? Forget all the Instagram lies and the social media lies. Vortexes don't always feel peaceful. Sometimes they feel grounding. Sometimes they feel sobering, right? Boynton Canyon, when we went, it didn't uplift me, it grounded me, right? Cathedral Rock didn't activate me, it humbled me. I became humble. And the stupa didn't excite me, it just quieted me. It felt like home. It felt weird, man. It was like I'd been here before, like a deja vu type of thing. A deja flow, right? And high frequency places don't give you energy. They demand your coherence. If your system is scattered, you will feel heavy. But if your system is aligned, you feel simple, right? So the one thing that I would say is that Sedona rewards simplicity, effortlessness, right? Knowing that you are that. It really respects that understanding, right? To roll with that energy. The biggest download for me, it wasn't mystical. It was more of a psychological clarity for me, right? Depression reframed as deep rest, anxiety reframed as unused motion, ADHD reframed as misdirected attention, anger reframed as blocked forward energy, right? So this is not about affirming and bypassing things. It's just the principle. Regulate the body and the mind follows. Regulate the body and the mind follows. Regulate the body and the mind follows. Not the other way around. Breath, movement, orientation, humor, presence. That is the technology, right? Of course, we came on to understanding a lot of symbols, and we talked about the black goo and demons, and you know, the conversations were there. Why? Because clarity devours paranoia. Let me say that again. Clarity devours paranoia, right? Black goo is not an external enemy. It's a stagnant consciousness, is the way that I perceive it, at least. Demons are entities, they're patterns without awareness, without consciousness, without You know, the understandings of what this thing actually is. Protection isn't fear, it's a coherence, right? So Sedona didn't just amplify the darkness, it revealed what has not been metabolized yet, what has not been transmuted yet. And when you stop feeding symbols with fear, they dissolve. They dissolve, right? And I felt like somehow my humor returned, right? And that was a symbolism of an integration completing. Very strange, right? My jokes came back, my memes started to land again, my playfulness returned, right? My light teasing replaced my weird, like, academic seriousness, and laughter replaced the narration. You know, I came into this journey understanding I have to have the right storyline, right? Not understanding I can write a better story. Not understanding I can drop all my old stories, right? And be in the nowness, be in the presence of it all. I think that's a great thing, actually, right? Enlightenment without humor is dissociation. And Sedona definitely laughed last, okay? And it taught the lesson clean, okay? If you remember nothing else, remember this. You don't need to raise your frequency, you need to stabilize it. You need to stabilize your baseline. Manifestation is not intention, it is your nervous system credibility. Big lesson. Big lesson. Love isn't reassurance, it's presence without agenda. Okay? Power isn't force, it's a relaxed readiness. Okay, so Sedona wasn't there to give me a long list of MLA formatted answers to all of my questions. It just removed the noise. The mind chatter, the yapping that goes on 24/7, the inner critic telling you it has to be like this, why are you doing it that way? And that just shut down. And all I could hear was the primordial om of and the bell rocked these places. As a clairaudient shaman, I'd go to these locations and there was like a reverb effect, like I could actually feel the rocks emanating some kind of an energy. Very trippy to me. But this was Primal Sutra's truth at a bone level. Grounded spirituality beats a performative mask spirituality every single day, every single time, man. Right? No drama forming, no bypass, no costume and cosplay. Just pure body first, breath second, human third, and vision last. That's it. That order creates the creators. And we're creating creators. We're not creating seekers. A lot of people call this spiritual seeking. What are you seeking? When are you ever going to reach the seeking? Right? What are you seeking for? No, it's a remembrance. It's a coming back to your truth. It's a coming back to your oneness. Okay? And if you're drawn to Sedona, don't come to feel high. Go there to meet yourself unfiltered. Go there to love without scripts. Go there to rest without feeling guilty at all, you know? And to lead without tension. Learning to lead without tension. That was a big part of it, I think. And Ryan G knows this because we went on a walk, a hike, you could say. And as I was on the hike, right, I had my little jacket on and I check, and my wallet's not there, including my passport is not there. Obviously, I freak out. The mirror effect starts happening. The trickster beings in the area start taking that on and start amplifying and looping it in the environment. We go up to, I think it was something, Sugarloaf Trail or something, right? We went up there, and it was a weird play of shadow and light as well. As we went up there, I realized this. And I went back down the trail, went back to the car to check if it was in the car. And then myself, Ryan G, and Wade, what we did is, I called the ranger over there. Hey, I might have missed my password, right? I might have dropped it. I contacted the National Forest Ranger there. Okay? That's how intense it was. And we had to go back up the mountain again. And this was a whole like 2 hours, like going back. Hey there, Guido. Going back up the mountain, like reaching that precipice point, and then going back down, and then going back up again, right? And it's like, wow. Like after that, it was such a powerful potency. By the way, this is my new room, my renovated room. It's very, very different. You can see the walls are painted. Got the books in the back, right? Got the Primal Sutra. Got the rain stick, the shaker. All right, a lot of cool stuff. Ryan G's at the Paris gate. Okay, he's heading back home to the Netherlands, and right now, you know, when I realized that, oh my God, my passport is missing, my wallet is missing, I was freaking out, right? It was looping and looping. We didn't find it there. As I went back home, right, I checked out the Airbnb and my wallet and my passport was there. So we were stuck in this time loop, all because of that one spiraling anxious thought. Do you guys get that? One thought can throw you out of balance. What if? I don't know. Guido says the room looks like great vibes. Thank you, bro. I don't know. Maybe, right? That's when the overthinking starts. It's that negative assumption that spirals into a chaos, right? But if you can positively assume, right? In that moment, I was also positively assuming this is all for the greater good. This is to destroy my ego, right? This is to not be so attached to an identity in a certain way, right? Because a passport is an identity. A wallet is a way for you to pay your way through your journey. Think about it, right? Your phone is almost like losing your arm or something. And that freaks you out. I get it. I get that it freaks you out in the moment. But you're going to look back at that and laugh. Right? Guido said, I know what you mean about the one thought spiraling you. Totally happens, right? So this is why we got to be very conscious, right? And keep our systems upgrading. This is why we say upward spiral gang, right? Because we're going towards this higher levels of living, higher levels of consciousness, right? And if the transmission is hitting you right now, it means you're already in the field. So stay close, watch all the next drops, you know. This path is for builders, right? Not just spectators, but builders, people who move the needle, right? Actually move the needle forward, like get things moving, get things happening, like create changes, create drastic shifts, right? And this is what Sedona did to me. Created massive changes and massive shifts for me. And as I realized, these conversations we were having were so deep and profound, right? That even the people of Sedona were blown away, right? And when we went to meet up with Will in Rose Vortex Cafe, we were there for a little bit. And then suddenly another shaman shows up and gives Ryan like this obsidian rock in his hand. He's like, this is my business card. And he goes, it stops Ryan's logical thinking brain for a second. And he's like trying to like analyze it, but it's like not something to be analytical about, right? It's just something funny and weird that's got to be laughed about and embraced with playfulness, right? It's not to be taken seriously, but if you get so grave and serious about the spiritual path, you're going to be like that. Going into the rock, understanding what is the meaning of this? It just is. Right? The universe just gave you an obsidian rock to protect you. Hey, just embrace that, right? That was the lesson. For me, at least, seeing Ryan go through this process. I don't know what his lesson was. But all I can say is that moment when we met up with Will, synchronicity after synchronicity, another person comes in who's another shaman. Oh, hey, right? And then that guy shows up, and he has a jewelry business. And then we met an actual guy with face tattoos and like all these weird, like he had a peg leg, right? And his name was Infinity. And we were all blown away by this guy because he was talking about like being in a sensory deprivation like chamber that he wants to create for himself, like a pitch black room, and he wants to stay there for 7 days. He wants to stay there for a week or something, right? And we got fascinated. We were like, what? Like, why would you tattoo your entire face and entire body? And also, like, you're missing a leg and you're making jewelry, and why would you live that extreme, right? But it makes sense for him. It makes sense for that particular individual's consciousness. Maybe not for me, I don't know, right? But for that individual, it seems like they were on their path. Only thing that I would say is he would say something against the law of one. He was saying something like, we are not all the same. We're all individuals. We're all different, right? There's no sense of oneness in any of us. That was his kind of paradigm. And unfortunately, we couldn't talk about it enough. We didn't have enough time to actually integrate what he was meaning. But that kind of threw me off a little bit, right? And he did say, like, you know, come around the Amitabha Stupa, we'll take 3 rounds, you know. The next day, we arrived there quite late. It was already like 4 or 5, right? And 5 is like when the parking stops or whatever. And then they left us a nice little message in our car. Like, hey, you can open the chain up and just close it back when you go, right? They were very kind about it. They didn't give us any, you know, what is it called? Like a parking fine or something like that. There's none of that. So that was very kind of them. That was very nice. I really appreciated the hospitality. It wasn't as hospitable as like Bali or any of these other places, but there was like a general kindness in the environment, right? And there's a bunch of weirdos, right? Just a bunch of weirdos going around Sedona. Like there's this random woman with like a witch hat or something like this, like a giant like witch hat, and she came out of her car honking like 7 times. Bam, 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 bam. Like it was like trumpets blowing for herself to, you know, undulate her own ego or something, right? Who cares? It's like, you know, like I'm just trying to have brunch, right? This woman is going, like she's playing her own, you know, theme song all of a sudden. And we're just trying to have, and hey, ain't even breakfast yet. Can I get a hello there, right? So him missing a leg means he's past the point of worrying about what's extreme. Exactly. Exactly, right? He's broken through that paradigm of what extreme even is if you're missing a leg, right? But very interesting guy. I'll see if we can get him on a podcast or something later, but it was just a very, very weird time. And then we met like this weird, we went to the Sedona food truck to get some food. And next to it was like this weird bar, like an Irish type of pub type of area. And there was this man who said he believes in all sorts of things, ghouls, goblins, fairies. And this woman came up next to him, and I swear to you, on my life, brother, this was a witch. Like her face was coiled up like that. Her skin was green. Like actually green. Like I'm not kidding. And you can confirm this with Ryan. And it just freaked us out. We were like, what's going on here, man? You know? What in the world is going on? We saw this guy look like Rob Zombie, right? Like, what in the world is happening right now? But still, we have to take those lessons, we have to integrate it, we have to move on to the next day, right? And drop the old stories. And glad you're catching live again. I'm still subbed. Awesome, brother. And yeah, just wrapping up real quick. So I think I mentioned most of it. We had a lot of interesting shamanic understandings, like how certain sounds, right, can also be very, very shamanic. Right? You don't necessarily need plant medicine in order to be shamanic. You can just be shamanic. You can just shift energies. You can just move around, right? And that by itself is a shamanism because it's a knowingness. It's a remembrance, right? It's not the hey, 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 ooh, 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 ha, ha. Like I can do that. I can tap into that, right? I can do the primal hops. Me and Wade did primal hops for like a whole, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes type thing. And also Wade guided us through this kind of Kundalini yoga for the solar plexus, which was very powerful, like lots of leg lifts and stuff like this. And that was for like a whole, I think, 45-minute protocol of lots of leg lifts and stuff like this. So that's kind of intense because I felt like my, what do you call it, the ball and socket joints of my legs like kind of hurting after a while. But integrating it, you know, back with the hiking and all that kind of stuff. So it was almost like my body was leaving all this kind of gunk and residue. It was coming off there. And I feel much more naturally embodied, right? As you guys can tell, I can move, I can weave more. And I feel this naturalness come back. That's why I'm so easily able to just step on a live and go like this, right? And I think I'm gonna continue this trend because it's like, wow, right? There's still a lot for me to integrate as I'm back here, but I am noticing the vast and stark difference to when we went out of Sedona into Arizona, Phoenix. The energy just went back down to a neutrality. It was just normal and kind of weird and, you know, intense. But when you reach Sedona, it's like your energy goes up here. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting effect, and that mirror effect actually taught us a lot because it really tested Ryan's and my paranoia, right? It really became from a paranoia to a pronoia, which is like the universe has my back no matter what, right? The universe is holding a conspiracy theory against me, right? That great things are about to blossom. Instead of the fear, there's almost a potentiality being unearthed. And we went because, you know, every year we do an event, right? We go into the ley lines of the world. And this time we were headed to the red rocks and the root chakra energy. So this was actually very, very grounding for us. We could finally get out of our mind chatter and into our heart centers again, which felt actually very recalibrating. Hey there, SLW. Big wins for you, brother. I see you posting and so forth. Great work. Keep it up. That's one of our... anything else, guys? Do you have any questions? Anything you want me to wrap up? Otherwise, we'll just wrap up real quick. Oh yeah, we watched these movies. I think it was in the series of The Endless. So his Synchronic was one of them. The Endless. These are like all time loop movies. And Retribution, I think, is the third one. There's like a series or like a trilogy. You guys can look that up if you're interested at all at trippy movies. That was an interesting adventure, you know? And the Airbnb was really nice. Very chill. Very, very cool. We just got poster paper and we're just geeking out, you know, drawing stuff and diagrams. And then we formed this epic, like, one-day event for our online participants and so forth. It was epic. It was just epic. And I remember as we were starting to wrap up, more and more lessons started to gain closure, right? I gained real deep understanding about certain things. How to care more about what not belongs to me, but it's a part of me. Yeah, I mean, this is what this live was about, brother. So if you want to go back and listen, but I would say to you that you want to have a real good understanding of your baseline, right? To stabilize your frequency. What is your most authentic, real, enriching frequency that you can ride out and understand, right? Whenever you're on some kind of an adventure or a psychedelic trip or like some kind of a weird like interface type of thing that you're going through, you always want to ask the question of return to my breathing, drink water, right? Just meditate, right? Expand it. What is the advice that you usually get? It's that, right? But now you have to make it natural to you. Like, I know when I burn sandalwood, I get a certain effect already. It's not the fact that this is a possession, right? This sandalwood is a possession. I need to cultivate all the sandalwood, right? I need to create a collection chamber of all the sandalwood incense in the planet. It's not that. It's the fact that there's a deja vu and a remembrance taking place of maybe I was in a temple somewhere in a past life, and I wafted in the sandalwood or something, right? And maybe now it's playing and replaying through my consciousness in this lifetime. And perhaps, right, that's a way, a tool, a permission slip. That sandalwood is a permission slip for me to remember my true self again. So it's not the fact that you have a random object that creates remembrance, like a peacock feather. It's more like you remember yourself as that, right? So bring it back to the soul identity, the identity that doesn't change, that remains true and keeps going throughout time and time again, right? But again, the mission is, we're trying not to get stuck in the soul recycler reincarnation trap. In this lifetime, I'm gonna try my absolute best this time to make it out of here, to ascend, to raise our energies up, right? To stay there so we can calibrate our nervous systems way better, right? From a calm state of mind. And it's not even like I'm chasing enlightenment or something. It's like understanding to be light, right? In light, in meant. It's meant to be light. It's not meant to be heavy. We're not meant to be carrying all the suffering and then pretending that we're martyrs of that suffering, right? It's recognizing I have suffering, you have suffering, we all have suffering, right? But it's in how we carry that burden for ourselves, how we carry our cross. That makes sense, right? That is what it's about. It's not about the suffering, right? It's about how you're carrying it, how you're responding to it. So Fabio, the quick answer would just be response ability, your ability to respond to life. And that's going to tell you your baseline, and that's going to tell you what's truly a part of me and not what belongs to me, right? I hope that answers your question, because again, it comes down to how you are handling the challenges of your life, or the weirdness or the difficulty or the adversity or whatever. It's all a part of your character, you know? And it'll reveal a lot about who you are and where you're going, right? It'll constantly redirect you. You might meet a weird man on an adventure somewhere that guides you somewhere else and like, hey, you guys should try this or go here, right? And whenever these little synchronicities happen, you don't want to attach to those events. You don't want to be like, oh, that synchronicity was so important to me, bro. I met that guy and it shifted my whole worldview. No. It's like, that's allowed my natural self to do what it needed to do. And that was actually a recalibration process. It might have been an initiation. It might have been something else, right? So this is what it's all about, guys, right? Just living in this enrichment and dropping all of these different masks we put on, you know? I used to be the type of guy who's pretending with everybody, right? With my clients, I'm different. With my parents, I'm different. With my friends, I'm different. With certain authority figures, I'm different. With certain mentors, I'm different. And it's like, that's such a tightrope walk. You guys get that? Nah. It's such a tightrope walk, right? Because you're like constantly trying to micromanage yourself. Instead of what? Being you, only you, and nobody else. Right? Being you, only you, and nobody else. Yes, you can get inspired by others, and other people are a reflection to you and that divine source within you. It points you back to you, I get it. But it's not about you. It's about the collective, right? It's about this journey. It's about raising everybody up, right? Even if they were a nemesis on your quote-unquote story, they still helped you. They still gave you fuel, right? They still gave you shadow fuel to transmute, so you might as well use that, right? You might as well use what tried to use you. You need to understand that your real utility is a spiritual one, a soul-based one. It's not this fake intellectualism of academia, of like getting heady knowledge and then writing articles about it and then trying to get a PhD about it and then suddenly stacking in terms of that. And that's what the general populace believes, right? That you need to have a PhD to have an opinion, actually, and change the culture and create waves. But nowadays, you're seeing that collapsing too. And we're starting to see the social media influencers actually take over because they have that panache, that quality, that edge, right? That refinement, that charisma that gets words through people's membranes and dense headiness into their hearts and boom, right? That effect. And I think that's really important to cultivate, right? As a culture. Gratitude, the word kritajna, I believe in Sanskrit, it means a cultivation consciousness. So gratitude is actually cultivation. We need to cultivate it. We need to build on it and expand on it. It's not just, oh, I was grateful for this one adventure I had. It's how can I be everlastingly grateful for the present moment and the adventures that are to come, right? So I hope you guys resonated with this. Thank you so much for tapping in. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. You got this. We got this. Upward Spiral Gang to infinity and beyond. I'll see you guys on the other side, okay? Also, hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this live. You'll like a lot more of our content. We also have free events, so we have channelings every week as well as podcasts. So just tap in, say hi to us. Don't spam on the Telegram group, okay? And also, don't trauma dump, okay? Let's have an incredible rest of your day together, okay? Have an incredible rest of your night, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're at. I'm here back in Kolkata, India, and Sedona. America was an incredible adventure for me. And it's funny because the TSA guy, he asked me, he was like, you're going on a spiritual adventure, but it's an online community? How can you be spiritual and it's online? And the only answer I had for him in that moment is like, yeah, that's why we're doing these events and we're meeting up in person. Right? And he couldn't respond to that. So I guess, anyway, it's interesting to tap in with you guys. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it, upward spiral, okay? Keep winning, keep crushing it. I'll see you guys in the astral. Let's win. Boom, 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 boom. Let's win.